Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. People in the back as well. We are about to start the very, very biggest meetup of Lisk so far. Wow, it's overwhelming. The amount of people today here is ridiculous. I think a few hundred signed up. It's always looking at how many people eventually show up, but I think we outgrown WeWork, and WeWork is an amazing co-working space with lots of space, so that's amazing. I want to point my attention towards the people also across the globe. I think we have a couple of thousands tuning in. Today's attendance is amazing, but also the amount of people that we reach globally, I think, in many, many countries, and we are super happy and grateful for all the support and new ideas and likes on Twitter and whatnot. It all comes from you. So let's keep it up together. Today's very, very nice, interesting talks from different people. I will moderate it today. My name is Thomas, marketing lead. Some of you guys already know me from other videos or tweets and Instagram, etc. We have today presenting Lindsay. She will give a update for the marketing team, especially focusing on the community. We have Tobias presenting Lisk-JS. We have Will presenting Lisky. So two of our products will be highlighted today. And we have, of course, Max, our co-founder, updating you about the developer roadmap and, of course, the highly anticipated rebranding. And, of course, the date, like we promised. So let's get started. So first, a couple of facility things. So the toilets are over the bridge to the right. As you already saw, there are many snacks, beers available. You can grab everything you like. We have a small break, approximately in the half of today's presentation. So let's say sit back and enjoy. Let's get started. So for the people that are not super familiar with Lisk, and many of you are, but I also know that some are tuning in maybe over YouTube, let's get into a short introduction for what Lisk is. Lisk is a blockchain application platform, and we have been on quite a roller coaster the last month. So it started with the idea. Max Kordek and Oliver Beddoes worked together in the Crypty project, and they saw there's a lack of developer adoption for Lisk, for blockchain, sorry. And with Lisk, they tried, together with the whole team, which is now 24 people, and trying to make blockchain adoption much more easy, much more accelerate the blockchain adoption. And we're doing a good job so far, reaching that. It's all preparations, but we're getting there. We did our ICO, one of the first of its kind, like you see it currently. 14,000 Bitcoins were raised, that time $6 million. And currently we have much more money due to you getting into crypto, which is amazing. We went live on my birthday last year, May 24th last year, running for approximately 18 months, and the foundation was settled towards the end of 16. So for this year, the team has grown tremendously. We have so many new people tuning in. The Lisk project from abroad, like as a community effort, but also as Lisk HQ employees here in Berlin. Especially development grew tremendously, and I think my team, the marketing team, is now 6 people, and we have today a designer started. Julian, where are you? Great that you joined the team. And Matt, a new community manager, will join us shortly. So yeah, you will see much more from our side also next year. We're getting closer and closer to the SDK due to active product development and super high release cycles. As I said, the development team is getting bigger and bigger, pushing out code like there's no tomorrow. And we have an evolving ecosystem, especially next year, with a lot of products coming together, and more about this later. Max will go much more in detail regarding this. So we're trying to achieve this ecosystem, which was our biggest promise in the ICO times quite a while ago already. So what is our mission statement? Together with our team, super diverse team. We have like 24 people, 14 nationalities was the last count. So we are super decentralized. Many people in the team, diverse, working on our mission, which is making blockchain accessible for everyone. And we define a mission statement. So in a world where only developers with a very special focus, referring to Ethereum, for instance, can create blockchain applications currently. Lisk provides access, support, and inspiration in the form of great tools. Look at the SDK, to anyone who wants to realize the opportunity of blockchain technology. So bringing the benefits to everyone in the room here, but across the globe, that's our mission, and we are doing it with an amazing team. So who is on the team? Co-founders, of course, Max and Oliver. I already mentioned them. CEO, CTO. The majority of the people are today here in the room. You can recognize them by the tags and by the sweaters. So please, if you have questions, approach them afterwards. Marketing team grew tremendously, like I said, with Lindsay first, and then the rest doing a great effort. We are growing the social numbers like crazy. Lindsay will talk more about it later. The front-end guys consist of 4, including front-end guys, including Fit, lead Nano, and Ali, lead Explorer. And then we have the full-stack DevOps and QA engineers, 5 people strong currently, and Tobias and Will are the ones that will present also today their products. And then the back-end guys, of course, our army of back-end developers working on the Lisk core, which is so important. So our assets, due to a lot of hype, I can easily say we now have 186 million as of today in funding. It's all safely secured in Switzerland in our foundation. And I'm pretty proud that now the majority of our assets are 48% are in our own currency, which I think if you believe in your own project, you should do so. In December, we have our next board meeting in Zug in Switzerland, and there we define how much fiat currency we want to have along the way to finance operations, marketing, development. So we might liquidate some of the cryptocurrencies because now the vast majority is in cryptocurrencies. So short wrap up, overview, 24 talents, over 50 experts also if you count all our contractors. Tyke and Out, and they are here today. Amazing job doing for the rebranding. Relevance, our brand consultant. Expand Online, our online marketing agency, and many, many more legal services in Switzerland. And as I said, 186 million in funding. And we are 18 months live, like I mentioned earlier. Okay, and then we go into the marketing piece. I want to give the word to Lindsay. Give her an applause.
Thank you, guys. So my name is Lindsay Busher. I'm marketing manager at Lisk. I've been on the team for about 4 months now and bring over 10 years of experience in marketing to the project. I'm really excited to be on the Lisk project. It's probably one of the most exciting companies I've worked for so far. And right now, the projects I'm working on range from content strategy to analytics. I mean, that's my focus in the past, and I hope to bring a lot of value to the project. So today, what I'm focusing on, though, is the community. So I'll be sharing with you some community updates. I think that, as Thomas mentioned, it's one of the most valuable features of Lisk. And so the first thing I'll go through are some milestones. Can everybody hear me? Great. And then a spotlight on contributors to the project. We have so many great developers and community members that are contributing every day. And I think it's about time that we share them with everybody to show the contributions that these people are making every day. Finally, we have so many new people joining us that I would like to share how you can get more involved. It's probably one of the most asked questions for me. And finally, we have a new ambassador program, and I want to share some updates on that. So we're getting noticed. I don't know if you noticed. But these are already outdated numbers, and I put them together today. We have 80,000 Twitter followers as of probably just now. Last week, we were a trending project on GitHub, which gave us double the amount of stars. It's amazing. We're at 1,400 now. And it puts a lot of pressure on our dev team, which I like because now we're developing even faster. We were a trending subreddit in September. So now we're at 19,000 subscribers. And finally, I just relaunched the newsletter, so now we're at 10,000 subscriptions and really engaged audience with over 31% open rate. And this chart is highly outdated already, but we have over 50,000 new community members just since September, and we have a lot to do to onboard them. I've never worked for a project that grows this fast, so it's pretty overwhelming and exciting. And as I mentioned before, I think the value in the project lies in the community and getting developers on board. Here are a couple of our meetups. So this is from the one in August, probably like a quarter of the size of this one. And then you can see from the Asia tour on the right a picture of Thomas and Max with about 350 people in Tokyo. So I want to thank Olipop, Sanity, Reason the Architect, Mr. V, Green Dragon, Stellar Dynamic, and many more people for contributing to our GitHub repositories. This is so amazing, and we need more people like you contributing to our project. Lisk support. Stand up, please. Yes, they traveled here from the Netherlands, and they're doing a great job putting up support and really helping field questions every single day. We have Lisk USA here. Thank you, Edward, Stellar Dynamic, he hosted over 6 meetups in the past couple of months, like more than we do. It's incredible what he's doing. And also, he's a moderator and really helping out every single day fielding questions. Lisk builders, they're putting together a lot of tools to make everybody's life easier. So from voting managers to delegate managers. So thank you, Lisk builders. I didn't have on here, but the Lisk Italian group as well. The Lisk ticker by Olipop, another one. And let me think. I think Carbonara. Also a big contributor, and CC001. Thank you. All right, now to the part how anybody can get involved. So first, you have to get informed about Lisk. So you can do that through any of our community members. I would recommend going to our FAQ on our website. On our blog, there's plenty of information there, as well as Reddit. I think that Reddit is probably the best community to go to. When you go to our subreddit, there's a Getting Started guide. And there I have provided you every link that you will ever need to learn about Lisk, from videos to who the team is, to how to vote, everything. Participating in discussions. We're on every single social media platform on the planet, so choose one. Go there, stay up to date on our news. Hosting meetups in your city, I'll get into that more later. And refer people for job openings. We have plenty, and if you know somebody that would like to work with us, send them our way. And how developers can get involved. You can run a node to secure the network, help Lisk moderate online platforms for developers, build tools that help the ecosystem, contribute to projects on GitHub, and also report bugs. We don't have bugs though, right? No. We don't have those things. We're perfect. So this year, we had 26 meetups all around the globe, from Tokyo to Dubai to San Francisco. However, in 2018, we have much bigger ambitions. We don't want any zeros, and we want a lot higher numbers. I want to discuss the updated ambassador program. The reason we updated it, so originally it was called a country ambassador, where we only had basically one ambassador per country, and we think that's pretty limiting. And we want to make the system, basically the initiative, more fair and decentralized. So basically there can be multiple ambassadors per country. And right now the initiative is focused on hosting meetups in your local area. So if there's anyone here not from Berlin, or even if you're in Berlin, you're very welcome to host a meetup for Lisk. What you would do is get in touch with our team at events@lisk.io to get involved. So there's some updates to the program that I'd like to discuss. So we will be pulling votes from Lisk, from the former ambassadors. And the reason why is because we simply can't continue that if there's hundreds of ambassadors. In addition, in 2018, we will be having merchandise kits. So our team will support you with marketing and merchandise for these meetups. And finally, I didn't tell you this, but there is a roadmap. Thomas and I are working really hard, and we have a new community manager starting next week. where we're going to improve a lot of things for you guys. So I'm really excited about them. So one of them is updates to the ambassador program. We'll have an updated blog post for you soon. We've been preparing all week for this meetup. So next week, we're going to get back into community and have an updated blog post for you. We have many improvements planned for Lisk Chat, from adding moderators to making guidelines for the moderators, and new rooms that will focus on development and building things. As I mentioned, the ambassador kits, I don't need to go into that. We will have, on the new Lisk website, which Max will get into more, we'll have an events page that will help you market your local meetup, and we'll be supporting people very much in this process, as well as I mentioned before, the projects that people are working on. We can have a page to show and support these projects by vetting them through Lisk, and that way you know that it's maybe not a scam project. We will have a new Lisk events format. It'll be very structured and be focused on various stakeholders, for example, developer workshops, and I'm really excited about that. And finally, we will have a new bounty program. I know that it hasn't been spoken about a lot, but there's about $40 million sitting in this, and it'll be structured. It's not just a bug bounty program, but it'll be used to support future Lisk projects, and this is really exciting. That is all I have for you guys, and I'm going to pass it off back to Thomas. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, with the team, we are working super hard, and I think this is just a small piece of what we have for you guys, and we are restricted in time. I think we can talk for an hour more about our new initiative for the community and beyond. A little news. Well, news, it was already on Twitter today, but we're on Binance. Yeah, we were in contact with them for a while. Amazing project with a unique touch. And they managed to get us up and running really fast. So congrats with that. A little bit about the project. Small overview. It's Binance, not Binance. They're only 4 months old, and they are in the top 10 of exchanges, which is pretty big achievement already. They're in 180 countries, over 600,000 users, and 127 trading pairs. If I'm not mistaken, the trading pairs for Lisk will be in Ethereum and Bitcoin versus Lisk, and also their own token, which is the unique aspect of them. First, the fee structure. So depositing is free. For trading, 0.1 trading fee. But this is the important feature. If you have their coin, you can have a reduction on your trading fee for 50%. So yeah, an exchange that did their own ICO. They have more to offer than their exchange. They're most known, I guess, for their exchange. And a fee withdrawal for Lisk tokens is 0.1, obviously. Yes, and then a quote from their CEO. We like this strategic approach of Lisk, result-driven team and its growing community. We believe in the collective effort of focused projects like this and are necessary to move the blockchain industry forward. And we can't agree more. I think combine, for us, it's always, we don't do so much competitor analysis. I think that together we're moving blockchain technology and adoption of blockchain technology forward. And we do it in our way, and I think other projects are doing a great job in doing it in their way, and I think there can be many platforms out there, and also many exchanges. So great project. Since of today, we're listed there, and happy trading. And then this is for me the most how do you say, like, interesting part. Don't laugh. I was talking with the team, and Isabella sitting over there helped us. Okay, so we are trying to make blockchain super simple and accessible with JavaScript and whatnot in our SDK. But I was like, if already developers have an issue understanding what the different platforms are doing and how they're structured and what are their products, of course we have Tobias and Will, both leads on JS and Lisky, explaining their products in detail. But we need to go even higher level, like I always call it the mom's level. And so how does that work? So we bring the benefit of blockchain technologies to everyone, through which I call the Lisk City. So let's see that we are currently creating a sort of world of blockchain, a city of blockchain technology. And I think that we can see a blockchain application as a house, really simple. We have the main chain, which is the main road. We have side chains, which are a side road of that. And we have the ecosystem of Lisk, which I call the Lisk city. What else do we have? We have JavaScript developers. They're the building contractors. They're basically putting everything into practice, pushing everything forward, starting everything. It could be a team or a single JavaScript developer. And then they need something. They need a blueprint. They need something that makes blockchain easier. And of course, they have other platforms. But we are building the very first house. And our house has been there for a while. And we know how to build this first house, this first blockchain application. In our case, it's a platform. And we're going to make a blueprint of this. And this blueprint we're going to give to all of you guys. So you can at least replicate what we did already in a much faster and easier way. The second, or the Lisky. So Lisky, okay, so Will is going to explain this in different words, but in my understanding, Lisky is a construction team. So the JavaScript developer, which is the contractor, sits behind the terminal and says, create sidechain, or create new transaction pool, or create swimming pool for your house. Then what else do we have? We have Lisk-JS, which is simply a tool set. So it's a saw, a screwdriver, a hammer, and we are creating all those tools for you. So in the case of JS, it's like transactions and a cryptography part. More about it, again, by Tobias later. And then we have the Lisk desktop and web app. And this is kind of a management tool. And this will come with the rebranding. Sort of like a management part where you can all manage this. And now I want to put this all together, or actually not together. We're going to separate all of those components in modular elements. And this is what in the end forms all together the Lisk SDK. And I'm going to visualize it to make it even more clear with a childish graph. So this is the main chain, our main road, as I said earlier. Here you have the legenda on the side. And then we have the small house. This is our house. This is the house which is built upstairs. We already have this house. We have the blueprint. We have a minor box in the basement. No fire so far. No big issues. And it's running. It's there. It's been secured by 101 delegates. They're doing an amazing job. 101 utility guys maintaining this house. And then we go a step further. Maybe by ourselves, or maybe by one of you guys, you replicate this house using our blueprint, using our SDK, which contains all those components. So your construction team, your tools, and then more materials, etc. And then you have your sidechain. So it's basically the driveway of your house that is being built. And it's different color because it's a different chain. It's a sidechain. And then slowly, this ecosystem starts to evolve. And you see that the faster we grow, the faster our neighbors or our city can grow with us. And this is a unique component of Lisk, helping each other further. And as you can see, those things are similar. The buildings are similar. But you don't want to have exactly what Lisk offers, right? You want to have your own custom set of applications. So now it's kind of a replication of the blockchain of Lisk and not necessarily an application, really. And how do we create demand for the Lisk token? Well, it's really simple. If you want to go from this house to your neighbor across the city, you have to go over your sidechain, which is your driveway. You swap your driveway token or your sidechain token for the main chain token. See this as sort of a toll. You drive all the way with your car or your transaction in this case. You drive all the way to the other house, and then you make the exchange again. This is called interoperability on the Lisk network. The whole ecosystem gets bigger and bigger. It's still only blockchains. It's not really applications. Again, those will probably be built by ourselves. And then this happens. This is the most important part. So what happens here is, let's say I want to have a sun protector, sunscreen, or I want to have a purple foundation of my building. Now it's becoming applications because we are growing and we're offering many, many, many more modules, scripts, additions to Lisky, additions to Lisk-JS. And slowly, together with your help, with your programming help, we can make the whole palette of tools bigger and bigger so we can create customized applications within our ecosystem or within our city. And so maybe this could be a storage facility where you can store your garbage, which is a decentralized storage application. Or maybe the town hall is a decentralized privacy application, so the whole city can go there and register their privacy or their identity. So I think it's a great addition, or a great way to show how our ecosystem evolves. You want a swimming pool? It's fine. You only have constructors that are able to build a sunscreen, but you don't have constructors to make the swimming pool. So either we provide along the way, as a growing HQ, the tools to do so, or you do it yourself, or you search for your community for guys that can make that swimming pool next to your house. So this is the marketing way of explaining our ecosystem. I hope it speaks to the mind of a lot of people. And we potentially make this into a video format. So now I want to have an applause for Tobias explaining in the proper way what Lisk-JS is.
Thank you. You didn't get applause for your own speak. It was amazing. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, amazing to see so many people here. I'm Tobias Schwarz. I've been working for Lisk now more or less than a year. Before, I've been also working on other projects. So I've known some of the people in the Lisk community also from my former NXT time, where I was a developer, but also on Waves and Komodo. So I have some years of experience, and now for a year I'm happy to have joined the Lisk team. Yeah, let me explain you a little bit on the project where I'm lead of Lisk-JS. So I'm quickly going through what is Lisk-JS for, a few benchmarked, the development stack that we are using, a key component, and what's the future for Lisk-JS. So at first, I hope there are some developers here, because Lisk-JS is mostly for developers. And it aims to be like kind of an abstraction of the Lisk core. So it entails certain function that the Lisk core offers but doesn't export. So Lisk-JS is a library that should have like all the functions that the Lisk core does, but you don't have to run a node. Lisk-JS is a library that you can import in any of your projects. So it's mostly for clients. So I will go into which clients already use Lisk-JS, but we are aiming that other developers who want to build clients can use Lisk-JS and really be safe in using blockchain application or building blockchain application. So it tries to be an optimized developer experience. We've been working very hard for the last time to really make it better and better for the developers. And we are putting a lot of effort on security. Sure, cryptography gives us most of the tools, but you can do things wrong. So on Lisk-JS, we are trying to make it simple but still secure for all the developers. Few benchmarks. So Lisk-JS is aimed both for the browser or for a Node.js backend development. So on the browser version, it's around 2 megabytes as a minified version. Our script is only on Node 115 kilobyte. And it should offer you anything that you need in order to build a client. So a client could be a wallet, maybe a CLI, whatever application you can think of. Most of the exchanges will use tools like Lisk-JS. So our development stack. I consider this quite important. We're an open source project, and we are also benefiting from other open source projects. So some of them are Babel, which enables us to use new JavaScript features, like are offered in ES6, ES7, coming ES8, and so you can also use Lisk-JS in the browser. Bubble makes sure that it all gets compiled right. With Mocha and Sign-In, we do our testing procedures. Grunt helps us in the building process. Coveralls is kind of an indicator of how much of our test is covered. We try to reach always 100%. You shouldn't take this for totally granted, but it's a good indicator for your code. Jenkins is on our backend. So on development, you want to run frequent tests. So you write tests in order to know that your code is doing what you want it to do. And Jenkins runs frequent tests on every pull request we create, or on every new code we add. The tests are run, so we know, okay, it integrates fine. Cypress is for our front-end testing, and Husky enables us to build Git hooks. So when other developers are coming to our GitHub repository, we know they've run all the tests, they've written the code in a way that we like it, and we are trying to set standards here. So we really want good code, and we want all the developers coming to our projects to also write good code. So these are the tools we are using to make that happen. So Lisk-JS is majorly contains 4 key components, which are cryptography, transactions, API, and constants. I'm quickly going into detail of each of them and explain you what that means. So the cryptography part of Lisk-JS helps you to create private and public keys. It helps you to create passphrases for Lisk wallets. It helps you to convert public key to a Lisk address. Why is this important? So what I especially like about blockchain is that it is permissionless, that it is open for everybody, and that you can essentially be your own bank. So I've written in short below there, you see a code snippet. It's only a few lines of code, but that enables you already to create a Lisk account. And you could put that in any wallet if you like, on an exchange or whatever. But with those 2 lines, you can already start accepting Lisk, or essentially get started with the ecosystem. So other things that cryptography does for us is signing, creating and verifying signatures. Signatures are important for to perform integrity of transactions, so you know that really the person who owns a wallet has created the transaction. But it's also used for messages. So when a certain account creates a message and signs it, you know where it's coming from, and you can verify that by the signature. And we are also providing encryption. So one of the problems of encryption in all the days was that you first have to exchange public keys, which are kind of your identification. And when you create a Lisk address, you have your public key, and you can see on the blockchain who has which public key, and then you can write private encrypted messages between each other where nobody can intercept. So one of the next tools is transactions. Lisk offers a variety of transactions, and Lisk.js offers you to create all those transactions. If you want, you can create them online, offline, on a secure computer with no internet, like everywhere you want. And this is particularly important so that you can create transactions, already sign them with your passphrase, and never leave the passphrase. You don't need the passphrase anymore after you've signed your transaction. You can then broadcast that to the network, and you know it cannot be tampered with, because as soon as somebody changes something in the transaction, the signature will not verify. So this is a crucial importance for Lisk.js and other wallets. All right, I also put a small script here, so you can see that with Lisk.js, it's around 3 or 4 lines to create your own transaction. So it's basically, we try to make things as easy as possible for developers. One of the next key components of Lisk.js is an API helper tool. So Lisk is a complex project and with a complex API, and we try to make things easier for any developer. So as soon as you want to get started with the API, it's really 1 line of code in order to get information from the blockchain, and we try to make it as simple as possible, so that you don't miss up things, that you don't miss anything, and also that when you broadcast a transaction, we get sure there's no passphrase anymore in there, so you don't submit it anywhere. We make sure the signatures get right, and so yeah, the API is also one of the key components. Last but not least is constants. It's quite small, but I wanted to go really short into it because yeah, we currently have, like, every blockchain has a different fee system, and we want you to not worry about it. So in Lisk.js, we've already put everything in place, so every transaction gets the right fees. Right now, since we have fees that are fixed, it's not so difficult yet, but it will get more difficult because we are looking to get a dynamic fee system, which are based on the size of your transaction, and really care for all this for you, so you don't. So using Lisk.js should make you feel it's easy and secure and straightforward. Other things are quantity management. So every blockchain concept has different decimal places, different amounts that you could use. And as a developer, you have to care about that because usually you deal with the smallest amounts instead of decimal places. So Lisk-JS will take care of that. And also the time, because every blockchain has its own time zone. As soon as they launch, that's like their initial genesis point, as you would say. And Lisk.js takes care of the timing, that your timestamps will be done right. So Lisk.js is already better proven. It's being used in a lot of projects like the Lisk Desktop, Lisk Web App, Lisk Core, and Lisky. So all of our team kind of uses it in some way, gives me feedback, or like gives my team feedback to improve all the steps. And so you know you're on the right track when using Lisk.js because all the others already use it. So yeah, there's this quick roadmap. So we've been working very hard to make it even more convenient for the last half year, which hasn't been published yet, but it's going to be published within the next month. And we try to modularize even more crypto transactions and API. So they will at one point eventually become all their own projects, but still be bundled under Lisk.js. We try to give it clearer names so developers can use it more intuitively. We try to get to the newest standards. JavaScript is really now increasing at a rapid speed. So we're using the newest standards out there. It provides encryption, which wasn't in the previous versions. And yeah, we focus more on developer-oriented. But also we try to get new developers also to the project. So we try to make it also that all the different developers looking at Lisk could participate in Lisk. And so please feel invited if you want to go to Lisk.js, have a look at the code. If you have any recommendations, any enhancements that you could see, create an issue in GitHub, and we'll look at it definitely. For the next year, we have several things planned. So as said, we try to make each of the key components its own module. We try to, we're looking into strict types like TypeScript or Flow, and we are still considering, but yeah, we consider it quite important to get there, so that's one of the next things planned. Also, we're looking forward in the next year for version 2.0, so every sidechain developer can create their own transaction with Lisk.js, and every sidechain developer also, they can kind of bootstrap their sidechain on Lisk.js, and we're looking forward to provide that. So the whole thing in graphics is, yeah, we're expecting Lisk.js 1.0 release this year and 1.1, 2.0 until mid next year. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the future. Thank you.
Next up, Lisky, explained by the man himself, William Clark.
Thanks. Yeah. So, hi everyone. My name is Will. I've been interested in blockchain for about 5 years, but this is my first job with a blockchain company. Been with Lisk for about 5 months now, and I am the project lead for Lisky, Lisk's command line tool. So for any non-developers, a command line tool lets you perform various functions using just text as input and text that comes as output, and that is much more convenient for a whole bunch of things. In particular, it's much easier to automate things if you want to write scripts, do things a lot of times. So I'll be talking about what is Lisky, the development stack we use, how to install and use Lisky, a bit on the roadmap, and then kind of thoughts about the future. So in its current form, Lisky is essentially a command line interface wrapper around Lisk.js. So Tobias was talking about all the great things we're doing with Lisk.js. But if you're not a JavaScript developer, or you just want to write some simpler scripts, you don't want to go and write JavaScript code all the time, so you can just use Lisky from the command line to perform some of the things that Lisk.js provides in a much more convenient fashion. Okay, and so this is forming a foundation for one component of the SDK. The way we expect developers will be building dApps, sidechains, is by putting in commands using Lisky for the most part, and generating a dApp just from the command line like that. So we use a lot of the same tools as Tobias described on Lisk-JS, but at the core we've got Node.js, Babel, so we can use lots of lovely ES6, 7, and 8 features. We haven't found a use for any ES9 features yet, but if we do, we can just use that straightforwardly. And then Vorpal is the framework we're using for building a command line tool in Node. This is from a guy called D3, who's a pretty active open source contributor, and it makes it really nice to add commands pretty quickly. If you want to install Lisky, the easiest way is by doing an npm global installation. You can just use this command here, and then it will add Lisky to your path, and you can just type Lisky and get going straight away. Okay. There are two ways of using Lisky. The first way is interactive mode. So if you just type Lisky, you get a little introduction here, and then you can start typing Lisky commands directly into the shell that's given to you. So here we're listing some delegates by username, and it's just displaying in a nice table format some information about those delegates. For example, over there we've got the approval rating. This example here is about changing your configuration. So we're setting, instead of using mainnet, we're using testnet here. That configuration gets persisted. And then if we try, in this point, getting that delegate using the light curve username again, well, that delegate doesn't exist on testnet, so we get an error, and it's handled nicely. It's shown to you, okay, this is what happened. All these examples are using table output. Also, you can use JSON output, and that works especially well with non-interactive mode. So here we are just in a normal bash shell, and just by typing Lisky followed by the command, we can perform exactly the same thing. So here we're again querying for those delegates using the username, and then I'm piping it to JQ, which is a pretty popular tool for dealing with JSON. You can see with this colored output how JQ interprets what we've got. And then this is an example here using some JQ functionality to extract the rank you can see here. So that's what we're getting out of that. You can just imagine maybe you're a delegate and you want to be alerted if you've dropped out of the top 101. Well, you could have a script which just did this periodically and informed you if that number was higher than 101. Okay, so that's how you use it. What can you actually do with it? Well, we're still in the early stages. We've got 0.2 released already, so you can view and update your config. You can encrypt a passphrase using a password. That's mostly for delegates, for node operators to secure their passphrase on a server. You can encrypt messages for a given recipient using their public key. So you can send encrypted messages, for example, on the blockchain. No one can read it except the person you've sent it to. And you can just get various information from the blockchain, either from one of our nodes or by specifying your own node. Accounts, blocks, delegates, transactions. We're just about to launch 0.3. And here you have the ability to create a new account that will give you a totally random passphrase, an address, a public key, everything you need to start receiving and sending Lisk, just with a single command from the command line. We have the ability to create transactions. So once you have Lisk in your account, you can transfer or perform these other functions using the mainnet. And then we also have the ability to write Lisky scripts with a bunch of commands just in a file, and then Lisky will go through and perform them one by one. This is a feature we're pretty excited about. We want to develop it so that it's more fully fledged, but we want to get community feedback to see what you guys actually want to do with it before we go ahead and do something you don't want. And then after this, we'll have the ability to sign and verify plain text messages. Right now, with 0.3, if you create a transaction, it's automatically signed. But we want to separate these two things out so that you can create a transaction without signing it, send it to someone, and then they can sign it separately. This could be useful, for example, if you want to create invoices. Somebody just you just send the transaction to someone, they check it, sign it, and then somebody broadcasts it to the network, and it's all smooth as that. So we also have broadcasting transactions finally, so you can actually get your transactions included in a block on the blockchain. So here's how that compares to Lisk-JS. Here's 0.3 about to be released, 1.0 aligning with Lisk-JS 1.0, and then 1.1 and 2.0 coming up next. What's in store for that? Well, one of the great benefits of Vorpal is that it's really easy to plug in commands to your tool. So this slide is very much for developers, but I wanted to give a quick idea of how easy it is to create a new command. As I said, Vorpal makes it very easy to begin with, but we've also been working over the last 5 or 6 months on, well, getting used to it, first of all, but creating a lot of helper functions so it's even easier than just with Vorpal to create your new command. So here we have pretty much the whole file for one of our commands. Here we just export this action or this command that we've made. How do we make it? Here's a helper function, so you just provide some configuration object and then your command is set up. That's pretty straightforward. The main important thing is this action creator, which is this whole block here. That looks pretty scary, but it essentially consists of 3 parts. One is validating the inputs that were provided via the command line. The second one is getting inputs from their various sources. So if you're working with sensitive inputs like passphrases or passwords, maybe you want to provide it via a file or an environmental variable, standard in, prompts, stuff like that. So this is actually, again, we've got a helper function for most of that block, where you just specify, hey, I'm interested in a passphrase and a second passphrase under these conditions. If it's a prompt, it should repeat or not repeat. And then we take care of all the different possibilities there. And then your main job is to say, okay, once I've got those inputs, validated them, collected them from the various sources that the users provided, what do I do with those inputs? And then that 2 lines at the top, that's the actual business part. In this case, all we do is collect those inputs and call a Lisk-JS function, and then we've created a transaction. So again, if you want to check out Lisky, you can install it globally with NPM like this. There are other ways to install it in our documentation, but this is the easiest way. And all the code, if you want to check it out, is there on GitHub. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Will, for this technical and great explanation of what Lisky is capable of as the foundation of the SDK. Now we're going to move on to Max Kordek, which is our founder, obviously, and will give you much more technical input and information combined with a bit of a business approach. So, Max, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Thomas. Good evening, everyone. Hey, into the live stream. I heard we have over 5,000 live viewers right now at this moment. Amazing. It's really remarkable how far we came. It's also quite an important day for us here, so I'm really careful what I'm saying, so I'm prepared some post-its so that I don't say anything wrong. I want to first of all say thank you to everyone who's here and to our team who organized this amazing event. One round of applause for everyone here. So the topic of the night is development, and I'm gonna explain you where we are heading to. I'm gonna give you some new insights, some exclusive insights never communicated before. But before we're doing that, I want to talk about some strategic decisions we are making. So before I go deeper into our products like Lisk Core, the SDK, and our relaunch, I want to say that in 2016, Oliver and I, we started Lisk with a promise to you. A promise that we will build a secure, a usable, and an accessible blockchain application for everyone in the world. And why did we want to do it? So secure, I think that's self-evident, right? No one wants to lose money. Usable, we don't want to implement any kind of feature maybe which is super cool but no one needs. We really want to concentrate on features which people need. And accessibility, let's be honest here, usability in the blockchain space sucks, it's bad. And we are working together with the best people in the space, with the best people outside of the space to make this really good. We want the best user experience in the space to make a change, to get people into blockchain technology. And I always also emphasized what Lisk really is. And for us all, at Lightcurve, at Lisk, Lisk is a long-term movement. It's nothing short-term. It's not for the quick pump. It's a long-term thing. And I think that's really, really important to get it right and to always keep that in mind. Because we could build something like fast and poor, and that's it, throw it away, make no impact on this planet. But what we really want to do is we want to be thoughtful. We want to build excellent products. And this takes time, okay? And again, Lisk is long-term. And we have, at least in my opinion, the time to concentrate on all of that because it feels like the others are rushing things sometimes. And we really want to focus on Lisk to make this all a big success. Thanks. So I think, thanks to the card, I got this right. Next slide, development roadmap. So let's talk a little bit about where we are heading to. I'm going to start with the core, with our main product at this point. So we're going to rewrite the peers module to let peer-to-peer communication on the network happen over WebSockets, being done by Maciej over there. And this allows, of course, for faster communications. It allows for less latency and for more reliability, of course. But the real thing, what this introduces, is basically that the network is more efficient and that there's less stress on the network. We're going to also improve the efficiency of block processing by redesigning the account ledger and by rewriting the transaction pool. And this allows us later on to include more transactions into one block. We're going to redesign our API endpoints to stick to standards in this industry and to remove any kind of security holes some of the current ones might have. And last but not least, we're going to add unit test coverage for all peers, blocks, transactions, verification, and API-related logic. And here I'm going back to one of our key components or one of our key aspects, security. We really want to get this right, so we are focusing heavily on security. So here I put this on a timeline. We're going to release this core 1.0 at the end of this year. Let's talk about what's coming next, what's after that. So we don't want to go too far into the future because development is unpredictable. There can be delays. There can be a change of circumstances. But we tried to replicate Q1 2018 as best as possible. What we're going to do is that we're going to replicate the WebSocket implementation on the public API. This will put a lot less stress on individual nodes. And overall, of course, then it will be very helpful for the network. Another very, very important part is that we're going to modularize the Lisk core into replaceable modules. This is like the beginning of one part of the SDK. For example, why is it replaceable? Because one part of Lisk core is a consensus algorithm. Maybe our developers later on want to remove ours and implement a new one, a better one. Same might go for Lisk itself in the future as well. We're going to clusterize Lisk core to allow for greater scalability so that individual parts of our core software can maybe run on one core of a processor and another part runs on another one. We add, and this is now getting a bit more exciting, I would say, a new dynamic transaction fee system. Tobias already mentioned it. Yet to see exactly how it will turn out, probably by the transaction size, could be by the network load or by the current price. We want not a static system right at this right now. We're also going to add a new address system, which has validation checks. That means like if someone's typing in an address, he gets like a notification if he maybe added one character too much, because then it sees it's not a correct or valid address. Bitcoin has it, for example. I think it's a very important feature, and we need it as well, and we're going to implement that. And last but not least, again, we're going to benchmark our network, and then we're checking how many transactions we can actually provide on the network. How far can we scale our network up? Because I think scalability is always a big problem in the space, but we want to get it right. So we first want to benchmark it to see what is really possible, and then implement this change as well. Again, on the timeline, this is a very, very rough schedule. We estimate it will take maybe the first 4 months of 2018. Okay, talking about the Lisk SDK. So Thomas already gave this amazing and simple introduction to what this SDK might turn out to be. In the past, there was always this misconception, and I think this was mostly my own fault because of wording, that the SDK is something like a single piece of software which you download and then use. No, actually it's like a collection of many, many tools we are developing since months, since years, and they together create basically the SDK. It's a toolbox. And today, for the very first time, I want to show a few more information about that. So, Thomas already mentioned it briefly. The Lisk core will be reusable later on for our developers to build like copy of the house which Lisk itself is. You remember probably the super nice illustration we saw earlier. And at the end, Lisk core is like a very modular shell which you can use, which you can reuse to build your own blockchain. Because why should we reinvent the wheel when we already have a blockchain? Why should we come up with something new for you to build a sidechain? No, we can use our heavily optimized and heavily worked on Lisk core for exactly that reason. Lisk-JS, you got an amazing overview from Tobias already, which consists in the future of 4 key components: API, transaction, and constants. These 3 will be extensible by the developers because, for example, maybe they want to add a custom transaction to their own sidechain. So they need to add like their own API calls for that, or they need to add their own constants, etc., etc. The cryptography part, however, going to stay the same always. Why? Because we want a shared cryptography amongst the main chain and all sidechains. What does it mean? It means like your own, or like your account on the main chain is the same account on every sidechain. And this allows Lisk to be really a platform itself. The third part is Lisky. Will already gave a very, very, very deep overview over what Lisky is. It's definitely for developers. Right now, it's something like a CLI client for Lisk. But in the future, it will evolve into the central part of the SDK. So that means we're going to have to expand the command palette. I wrote them down there. I want to give you 6 examples of what this might be. So one of them is application bootstrapping, so that you basically choose the configuration of your sidechain, which fee system, which peer-to-peer algorithm, which consensus algorithm do you want to have. You choose all that, and then it bootstraps your like code automatically. Another one is Genesis block generation or creation. You might want to like introduce like an initial distribution. So you need tools to be able to create like an amazing and proper Genesis block. The third one might be code skeleton generation. So we don't want that people always go back into the code and have to change like thousands parts everywhere. No, we want that someone just goes to Lisky, types in something like, it's just an example, create new transaction type, and then everything will be automatically generated, and then you only go to this one part where you add your own logic, so that you can customize this one transaction to be something unique. Of course, we also need stuff like database migration, process management to start, stop your sidechain, and also test execution to always make sure that everything runs as it should be. The last one is maybe not that developer focused. This one is basically for everyone. It's our Lisk desktop app and our Lisk web app. There you're going to have one section in the future where you can manage your applications on the network. So you could change the description of the app so that everyone sees, oh, maybe there's a new update, or maybe there is a change in the software itself. You can maybe change even the name or add some pictures of it. So this all going to happen from within the normal client. We want to make it super easy for everyone to change it. We don't want that people have to use the command line to just change the description of their app on the network. We want to make it right accessible from our user interface. So let's put it on a timeline. So Lisky and Lisk-JS 1.1, 2.0 already explains will come end of April approximately. But if we go back to what we promised usability. And usability means that there's not only sidechains, because with only sidechains, you can't really build a vibrant ecosystem. You can't build a platform. We need more than that. We need custom tokens so that everyone can raise money. We need a decentralized exchange so that everyone can buy into these many tokens with a Lisk currency or with a Lisk token. Thomas and I, we were just in Asia a few weeks ago, and we were like in many different countries visiting many different exchanges, and we want to facilitate thousands of ICOs on Lisk in the future, and we believe that it's not possible for thousands of entrepreneurs to fly all over the world just to be listed on an exchange. We believe that decentralization is the future, and that's why an exchange also has to be implemented in a decentralized way. Also, of course, you need to be able to create your own application or register your own application on the network so that everyone knows that it exists. And at one point, we also need to make it available that you can send a token from the main chain to the side chain. So what does it mean? So what we want to achieve is one ecosystem of tokens. That means every token will be issued on the main chain itself so that this decentralized exchange can even happen, okay? We don't want that the token can only live on the side chain, because then you could never transfer it or exchange it in a decentralized manner. Because for that to happen, it needs an environment where all tokens live in one place. You might see the timeline here, that the sidechain withdrawal deposit functionality, which by the way already exists, will be activated towards end of September, beginning of October. Now you're asking yourself, why so late? But we already learned with Lisk-JS and Lisky, and with Lisk Core, which we are developing in it already right now, but also like before this sidechain thingy gets activated. That means with these tools, you will be able already to build your own blockchain application, to start developing, to raise money, etc., etc. But what we don't want to happen is that some shitty apps are being launched, or that some scams are being launched, and then people try to send their token to these apps or sidechains, and then the money is away. We feel like a blockchain application development process takes longer than a day and takes longer than a month. So that means we are putting like a virtual or like a stop on that by just implementing this last activation step a few months afterwards, so that people really have the time to build a quality product and don't just build some scam apps to steal other people's money. I also think like we need the time to introduce some standards so that everyone in the community can verify if a blockchain application is secure, if a blockchain application comes from trustworthy founders or developers. So that was it for the developer roadmap. now I'm gonna, thank you. Now I'm gonna talk about the relaunch. What's the relaunch? So it's, of course, the thing we called beforehand rebranding. But we figured out along the way it's more than a rebranding. It's not just a new design put on some products. It's actually something really sophisticated, something where we put in so much work. And basically what we are doing with this relaunch is that we are reinventing, not proven, but we are reinventing concepts in this industry which have proved themselves to not work correctly, because it's still just too hard to create your own account on the Bitcoin network, for example, just to buy some Bitcoin and then send them to another account. It's just too complicated. So that's why we had to go really new ways, and this takes a long time, okay? So that's why we are discontinuing Lisk Nano and Lisk Explorer. We figured out it's not the right way to separate them. We are merging them together in our Lisk desktop app or our Lisk web app. We also feel like not everyone wants to download an application to his desktop computer. Maybe they just want to open a website and use it from the website. So I'm, for example, a guy who uses Slack in an app, but I think like 70% of our team always just have it open in the browser. So there are different kinds of mentalities and people, and we want to be there for everyone. This is an entirely new product, a very, very fresh product. I think not many of these already exist in the space, and we're really pushing the boundaries with that one. We don't have any benchmarks. We can't check what works, what doesn't work, because there is nothing. We are really going here a new way, and what we really do is we are not just rushing and do something and check how it is and maybe fail 1,000 times along the way. No, we're taking our time and do it correctly. And this just takes time. But to go back to our promises, we want a secure platform, we want a usable platform, and we want an accessible platform. And this will go great, great ways. And I know how it looks like, so it's going to be amazing. Thanks. So we promised you to announce the relaunch date. I don't know how you're going to react. I might need to hide, but the date is this one. So we're gonna present it on the 20th February 2018. So, of course, we're adding along the way more pages, more details, more content as we originally planned, and which made it longer. No, we really focused on every single step, and we really pushed for quality. Just an example, at one point we had one design route, and it was looking promising, but like after 3 weeks or so, we felt like, no, that's not the path we want to take Lisk into the future with. So we just scratched the design and started from new, because we really felt we need something different, okay? And for me, it's totally worth it to sometimes just throw away some weeks of work to get to something better, okay? And it proved really that this was the right step. Also, along the way, we added a marketing consultancy from Netherlands called Expand Online to really push hard on different aspects of a relaunch, aspects like analytics, like SEO, because we want to be visible for new people entering the space. So if they're checking out what kind of projects are there, we want to be at the top. So this, of course, also prolonged the process quite a bit. But another part is, and that's what will happen on this date I just said, is that we want to be more professional, and that's why we are planning a spectacular event where we're going to reveal it. And this really requires extensive preparations. Only this meetup takes already the whole week for 6 people to organize, you know. You can imagine like what a huge event takes of time to really get it right. So this 1 year was so worth it because we learned how to communicate Lisk. We learned how to position our brand. We had to like figure out, or we had to go new ways how to properly show information, show data. And this just takes a long, long time, trust me. And that's why it took 1 year to reinvent the key aspects of this industry, to get it finally right, to make a wallet which user experience is finally up to this level so that we can get everyone on the street to just use it. I think for the future, we definitely also need a mobile wallet. This will come soon after that, because that will be like the real push for the mainstream, right? Thanks. So this is the whole roadmap for the coming months. We already explained Lisk-JS, Lisky. We explained Lisk Core, Lisk Nano, Lisk Explorer. I said they're going to be discontinued with 2.0, because for Lisk Core 1.0 we need a new version to adapt them to the changing API. And it doesn't mean that in all this time, like our whole front-end team worked on that. No, it's like a part-time job. A few hours will go into that, and that's it. Our team is focusing on the rebranded Lisk desktop app and Lisk web app. The team of Taikonauten focusing on the website. And like I said, they're going to go live on the 20th of February, and it's going to be amazing. After that, because that's just the beginning, after that, we're going to work more on our blockchain application platform. We're going to work on this application management section I mentioned. We're going to work on a mobile wallet. We're going to work on so many different things. The really cool thing I like here is that we can take the whole Taikonauten team, some people from our team, and put them on one problem, like creating a new account, and then get this one really, really right, like really easy. And I think from there on, it will be an evolutionary scenario where it will just become easier and easier and easier. So this all these changes need people. Thomas already mentioned it, or Lindsay was it, that we are hiring like crazy. I want to go into a bit of detail who we are hiring on the tech side. So we're looking for 2 front-end Q&As. We're looking for 2 front-end developers, 1 further back-end Q&A, and approximately 5 back-end developers for now, a software architect, and a project manager. So if you feel like this is your destiny, apply to us, to careers@lisk.io. What we are also starting to build now is a science team. So in December, the first mathematician with a PhD will join our team to start a science team to really focus on very, very important and complex topics. And we're going to expand that team into 5 people in total. We feel it's necessary because of the evolving complexity of the project. And I'm really excited about that. I think this will be like a total shift in productivity for the whole team, and also that the tools and the features we come up with will greatly benefit from that. This is a timeline. Impossible to predict hiring. If we can get them in January, would be great. So let's see how it goes. But that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Max, for the sharing of this vision. I think we, as a team, are honored and really spoiled to work under the wings of Max and Oliver with this vision and leading this blockchain revolution. I think I have the guts to say this. We are one of the leaders in the industry defining what is blockchain for the big public. And it's a lot of promises like almost a year of, if you put it really the exact date when the rebranding was announced, towards this point where we already took the pictures for the team page. You saw it on Twitter. It's already done. The homepage is already done. A lot of things are already done, but you can see that we take our time to deliver the best product. It's easy for me here to say this, but I truly believe this. So to kick off the fact that we are moving or sort of merging all our products, discontinuing Nano, discontinuing Explorer, putting the front ends on the List desktop and web app, together with all the modularization, etc., and the new features of all our products. To celebrate this, we're going to have an amazing relaunch event. Not here. WeWork is amazing, but we outgrown WeWork. We have an amazing event planned. And Max already mentioned it. It is kind of like an Apple WWDC event. It's going to be held in an old mint. And for, I didn't know the word, it is an old coin manufacturer. Pretty funny. It will be the home for that evening for up to 200 to 300 people. If you think that you should be part of this evening, please reach out to us from events@lisk.io. Obviously, highly requested to be part of that. We will show the rebranding. We will explain the rebranding. We will be on stage with people from Taikonauten, designers, concept, UX designers, animators. We will have Christian, the CEO of Relevance, our brand consultant, on stage explaining with us together how and why we came to this point. I really can't wait for it. We are working with Element E, one of the best video production companies in Germany, on an amazing homepage video, which we share our story. And all this will be presented the 20th in the evening in this room. A little bit more patience, but we will reach that point. Some closing remarks. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, for tuning in on YouTube. I don't know in which camera I have to look. I'm not sure how many people are watching this currently. The last time we checked, it was over 5,500 people. That's absolutely by far the most people I've ever spoken for. Again, I'm really honored to host you guys here tonight, and I think that we have great plans with Lisk, working daily super hard with a super big team, expanding the team, and the Q&A session, I expect a lot of questions from everybody. We are here with 25 talents who know everything about Lisk. So we want to postpone the Q&A to the networking part instead of doing it over the live stream, so we can answer many, many more questions. We're also restricted to the time we have on this location today. So I want a big applause for everything that has been said today, for the speakers, for you guys, for the people at their homes tuning in. And let's have some drinks and exchange some nice blockchain experiences and ideas for the future. Thank you very much.